Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're really cutting through the noise.
We are getting straight to it.
Right, to the kind of operating manual for the human conscience. Our mission, a deep analysis of that internal machinery, the
Yeah.
gears that grind when you hit an ethical dilemma.
Those moments where there's just no easy path forward.
Exactly. And the source material we're using for this dive, it's pretty intense.
It really examines that internal conflict, doesn't it? The whole psychological process behind making these tough calls.
It does. And to give you a real sense of the gravity here, think about this scenario they often use in the research.
Okay.
You're offered a huge promotion, like life-changing money, security, the works.
The dream, basically.
But, and here's the catch taking, it means you have to compromise, maybe even abandon a core personal value, something you've always lived by.
Oof.
Yeah. What do you do? That feeling, that internal wrenching, that clash between who you are and what you want, that's what shapes you, fundamentally.
That's it.
Okay, so let's unpack this whole process.
Yeah, that's the perfect starting point. And our goal today isn't really to preach, right? It's more about mapping the mechanics of these choices that feel impossible.
Mapping the mechanics, I like that.
For you listening, especially if you're already familiar with some of these ideas, this is about spotting the guideposts, those core values that, well, the research shows provide stability when everything feels chaotic.
So finding structure in the moral maze.
Exactly. Structure in the maze.
Okay, let's start then with what the research calls the invisible tug of war. Because it's easy to think of ethics as, I don't know, philosophy class stuff, right? Abstract.
Right. Ivory tower things.
But the papers we looked at, they stress these dilemmas are constant, often unseen battles happening inside us.
And critically, they're often not about clear good versus evil.
No, that's the key point. It's usually a battle between two competing goods, or maybe two different ways of seeing your responsibility.
Like the examples they give. Loyalty to a friend versus your own integrity, or keeping your job versus taking a moral stand. Quick, gut-wrenching choices.
Yeah, I remember this one time managing a project. We had this absolutely impossible deadline, just brutal.
Yep.
And the only way, literally the only way to meet it was to push a junior team member to basically cut corners on data security protocols. A huge shortcut, huge risk.
Wow.
So it was my job security, potentially my reputation, versus, well, possibly ruining this junior person's career if things went south. And you feel that immediate hot conflict, like you're being pulled in two totally opposite directions.
And neither path feels right. Or clean, anyway.
Exactly. Neither feels clean. That's the heart of the ethical dilemma, isn't it?
That feeling, that observation, is spot on. The sources actually call the result of that clash moral distress.
Moral distress. Okay.
Yeah, it's that psychological discomfort you feel when you know what you should do, but something institutional rules, personal pressures, circumstances stops you.
Right. You're blocked.
Exactly. And to understand how we even begin to resolve that distress, we need to start by, well, mapping your moral compass, defining that fundamental filter inside you.
So figuring out what actually guides you when the rules aren't clear.
Precisely. Let's talk core values. According to the sources, these aren't just, buzzwords for a corporate retreat.
Right. Not just words on a poster.
No. They're active decision filters, deeply held beliefs, maybe even unspoken ones, that fundamentally drive your behavior when, like you said, the rules run out.
Active filters. Okay.
So, if you're listening now, maybe take a quick second. Try that self-discovery exercise the researchers recommend. Just mentally, right now, identify your top, say, 3 to 5 foundational values.
Like what really matters most to you.
Yeah. Is it honesty, courage, compassion, maybe security, or fairness, autonomy? Just try and grab onto those anchors in your mind.
Okay, got mine. Hopefully everyone listening has theirs too.
Good. Now let's play a quick game the sources suggest, the what-is game. This forces those values you just identified into conflict.
Okay, hating them against each other. Let's do it.
Imagine this. You really value honesty. It's one of your top ones. But a close friend confides something in you. Information that, if you shared it, could protect hundreds of people from serious financial harm.
Ah, okay, tricky.
So which of your values gets hit hardest right away? Is it honesty, the need for transparency, or maybe loyalty or commitment to your friend?
You feel that clash instantly.
That instantaneous mental reaction, that's your value system firing under pressure,
Yeah.
showing you where the friction point is for you.
Right. Which brings us neatly to the crossroads of choice. And this is where the research, for me anyway, gets really interesting. Why is using that compass, even when you know your values, still so agonizing?
Well, the core reason is that these dilemmas pop up precisely when two or more of those really important values clash head on.
They pull you in different directions.
Exactly. It creates genuine internal friction. It's not about picking the easy option versus the hard one.
No, often both options are hard, just in different ways.
Right. The difficulty comes because whichever value you end up prioritizing, say loyalty over honesty, or maybe job security over speaking truth to power, you're essentially sacrificing another fundamental part of your own moral code.
You lose something either way.
You lose something either way. And what's fascinating here, something the sources really highlighted, is a specific finding about stress.
Oh.
Decision makers often report greater psychological stress when choosing between two things they value highly, like two goods, than when choosing between a clear moral path and one that's maybe expedient but obviously wrong.
Really? That seems counterintuitive.
Doesn't it? But think about it. The bad choice might be tempting, but the right choice is clear. When it's good versus good.
There's no clear winner. You're guaranteed to feel like you compromised something important.
Precisely. It leads to that crippling post-decision doubt or regret, because you inevitably sacrifice something you genuinely believed in.
And we see this playing out everywhere, right? The sources mention some big contemporary examples.
Absolutely. Think about the debates around AI ethics. It's a perfect example.
Yeah. On one side, you have this drive for innovation, for speed, getting these powerful tools out into the world fast.
A value in itself, progress.
Right. But on the other side, you have values like fairness, safety, accountability, making sure these algorithms don't perpetuate bias or cause unintended harm.
And those values are fundamental too. So when these corporate or societal values collide...
You land squarely in the no easy answer zone. There's no simple right or wrong.
Exactly. And that lack of a clear, externally validated right answer, that forces you back onto your own internal compass, your core values.
Because the external rules or signposts just aren't enough.
They can't save you in that moment, which raises the critical question, especially for you listening. How do you actually move forward when clarity feels impossible? When any choice feels like a compromise on your integrity?
Okay, so how do we navigate this? That brings us to navigating the labyrinth. We need practical strategies, right? Frameworks for decision-making.
Yes, tools to structure your thinking when your emotions are screaming and logic feels fuzzy.
We need to slow down the spin cycle.
Absolutely. And the sources offer some structured ways to look at the problem. They often boil down complex philosophy into essentially two main angles.
Okay, what are they?
On one hand, you've got the utilitarian approach. Think, results, consequences.
Like, what action produces the greatest good for the greatest number?
Exactly. Maximize the positive outcome overall. Then, on the other hand, you have the deontological approach. This is more about rules, duties, principles.
So what absolute principle or duty must I uphold here, regardless of the outcome?
Precisely. Is there a fundamental rule like do not lie or
Yeah.
protect the vulnerable that takes precedence?
So it's results versus rules, basically.
In a simplified way, yes.
Yeah.
It's not about instantly becoming a Kantian scholar or a utilitarian expert.
Right, thank goodness.
It's about using these two different viewpoints as lenses.
Yeah.
They help you systematically evaluate the trade-offs involved.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Think about a corporate downsizing scenario. Painful, right?
Very.
Okay, the utilitarian lens might focus on saving the company overall, even if it means letting go of a certain percentage of staff, arguing that preserves the maximum number of jobs in the long run. Results, focus.
Okay.
The deontological lens, though, might focus on the company's duty to employees based on their contracts, or maybe their years of loyal service. It emphasizes the principle, the obligation, even if it makes saving the company harder.
So different ways to frame the same hard choice?
Exactly. But here's the crucial next step, and where, according to the sources, people often stumble.
What's that?
Forgetting to filter these approaches through your personal core values, the ones you identified earlier.
Ah, bringing it back to the self.
Yes. The sources suggest a kind of tool, sometimes called a duty prioritization matrix or something similar. Basically, you list your options. Then you score them not just on results or rules generally, but on which of your specific core values they uphold and which they violate.
So you're quantifying the moral cost to yourself.
Precisely. Only then do you maybe apply the utilitarian or deontological calculation. It grounds the abstract framework in your personal integrity.
That sounds like it requires pausing, taking a breath.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which leads directly to the power of reflection. The research is crystal clear on this. Ethical decision-making, especially when the stakes are high, should not be a gut reaction.
Not a reflex.
No, it demands actively slowing down the process. Why? To fight against cognitive biases, those mental shortcuts that try to trick us into choosing the path of least resistance, not necessarily the path of most integrity.
Like what kinds of biases?
Well, the material specifically calls out things like confirmation bias, where you subconsciously look for information that just confirms the choice you already secretly want to make.
Yeah, we all do that sometime.
Or anchoring bias, getting stuck on the first solution that pops into your head and failing to explore other, potentially better options.
So how does reflection help fight those?
By forcing deliberation, actually writing things down, journaling about the clash of values, maybe mapping out the pros and cons through your value lens, or even discussing the dilemma carefully with a trusted advisor who can offer an outside perspective.
It creates space.
It creates space to check your motivations. Are you being driven by conviction or by convenience, by fear, by ego? Reflection helps untangle that.
But what if, even after all that, you make a choice you later regret?
That happens. We have to acknowledge that. The sources are very clear. Perfect outcomes aren't guaranteed. Missteps are part of the process. Ethical growth, fundamentally, involves learning from those difficult, imperfect choices.
Okay, so the choice is made. What happens next? We need to look beyond the resolution.
Right. Because choices don't exist in a vacuum. The sources talk about the ripple effect.
How one decision spreads outwards.
Exactly. Whether it seems small or it's a major life event, your ethical choices shape your reputation, your relationships, the trust people place in you, even the broader community or workplace culture.
So choosing loyalty to that friend over honesty in that earlier example, that might save the friendship, but damage your professional reputation if the truth comes out later.
Precisely. Those ripples spread.
Yeah.
We are constantly, whether we realize it or not, writing our own moral narrative through these actions.
And that narrative, that story we write, connects to the idea of building ethical resilience, right?
Yes, exactly. We're encouraged by the research to reframe these tough moments. Instead of just seeing them as painful burdens, view each dilemma as a kind of resistance training.
Like working out your moral muscles.
That's a great way to put it. Every time you navigate one of these choices thoughtfully, even if it was agonizing, even if the outcome wasn't perfect, you clarify who you are. You strengthen the link between the values you say you hold and how you actually behave.
You build integrity, essentially.
You build integrity and you build resilience for the next time. The process might still be hard, the sacrifice might still be real, but your understanding of your own compass gets sharper.
The path through the friction becomes a little clearer, even if the friction itself doesn't go away.
Well said. The friction remains, but you know how to navigate it better.
Okay, fantastic.
Mm.
So let's recap the key takeaways here. We've seen that ethical conflict is usually a clash between deeply held values.
Check.
We've got some frameworks like looking at results versus rules to help navigate that no easy answer zone.
Filter through personal values, check.
And we absolutely need reflection to slow down, check our biases, and make more considered choices.
Crucial step, check.
Right. So now for the challenge.
Okay. Drawing from the call to action in the source material, we challenge you, the listener, to take those top 3 to 5 values you hopefully identified earlier.
The ones you were holding in your mind.
Yes, and consciously try to apply that duty prioritization matrix idea scoring options against your values to one specific tough decision you might be wrestling with right now. Could be personal, could be professional.
Your values as the anchor against that emotional tide.
Exactly. Put the framework into practice on something real.
Okay. And finally, the provocative thought we want to leave you with.
Let's hear it.
How much of your fundamental reputation, your story, is being written right now? Not by the easy wins, not by the successes everyone sees, but by the integrity and maybe the cost of your hardest, most private choices.
Wow. That's something to chew on.
We'll leave you with that one. Thanks for diving deep with us today.